Some concepts. I'm not sure how significant all that is. I'm doing the same stuff as I did now as I did before that. It just doesn't rank very high in my list of life lessons. And most of the important lessons in life, we really don't make a conscious effort to go out and learn. We don't put it on our bucket list to learn how important relationships are. We don't create a plan to learn humility. But various life events do teach us these things, and they come at a time when we are hopefully willing to learn. Well, some of the things that happened to me in the past year, of course, family is important. Stephen graduated a year ago, and he's started working. He's got 2 part-time jobs. He plans to take another class next semester. He's still living at home, so not much has changed there. It did mean we needed to get another car. Melinda graduated in May, but she started right away in a graduate program, so not much has changed there. So if I want to learn a lesson from that, I'd say that graduation is not such a big deal. That was true in my own life. I graduated from Southern Illinois University, and nothing really changed. I started right into graduate studies. I graduated from Azusa Pacific, and nothing really changed. I graduated from Fuller, and nothing really changed. I just continued doing the work I was already doing. About the only graduation that made a difference for me was graduating from a bachelor of college. I think the really significant part of that was not so much the graduation, but the job I got a week later. Graduation kind of looks at the past. The job looks to the future. They call graduation a commencement, a beginning. But in most cases, people aren't quite sure what they're beginning. The jobs are more important than the graduations. Another thing that happened this past summer was that my brother was put into prison. He's in a minimum security camp in Pensacola, Florida, and he'll be there for at least another year. He's there for interstate electronic wire fraud. Because he was the chief financial officer for an organization, and he was writing checks to his own bank account. And the reason he was doing that is because he had to pay his gambling debts, and the reason he was paying his gambling was he wanted to provide for his family. That is, he wanted to provide for them the best that he couldn't afford. He wanted to provide for them in the standard of the top 1%. And the reason he wanted to do that is because that's the circle of people he was socializing with, and he wanted to look like a good provider for his family. So he got involved in the stock market, making bets in the stock market. From there he went into lotteries, buying thousands of dollars of lottery tickets. He won a few, lost a lot, and he used his employer's bank account as kind of a cushion for his losses. So he's doing time now, and he works in prison there, and he makes 12 cents an hour. He's hoping to become an electrician so he can make 50 cents an hour. We went and visited him in November, and we could see he was just beginning to come to grips with the situation and himself and what's important to him. His conviction and his incarceration hopefully qualifies a life-changing event. We hope it changes his life. It's already changed his family's life, his wife and 3 children. They have certainly been affected by it, maybe more than he is. And what kind of lesson have I learned from that? Well, I'm not sure. Maybe the lesson is to be happy in the top 5%, and it's not right to steal from other people just so you can get to the top 1%. Hopefully I already knew that. Another lesson is it's dangerous to compare yourselves with others. There will always be somebody who has more of this or that. If you had a dream of being in the top 1%, maybe it's time to let go of it. Motivational speakers tell you to keep working at those dreams. But logic says we can't all be in the top 1%. Ethics says it certainly isn't the most important goal in life. Who you are is more important than how much you make. We need to be content with what we have. I think that's in the Bible somewhere. I should mention the Bible somewhere in here. Now, something I'm in the process of learning, although I don't think I've learned it yet, is my job as Dean of Faculty at the seminary. Leadership is not one of my strengths. I've never asked for a position of leadership. But as the dean, I'm supposed to exercise some form of leadership, and I'm supposed to communicate job requirements and make people really happy that they can do them. I'm supposed to conduct faculty meetings when I don't really like meetings. But I know that the meetings are an opportunity to communicate and make people feel like they're an important part of a team of people doing something important. So every month I'm supposed to come up with an agenda and conduct a meeting, and I find that difficult. Sometimes we have to do things we're not very good at. I think that's probably in the Bible there somewhere too. If we don't have the gift of compassion, there are times when we ought to be compassionate anyway. Even if we don't have the gift of generosity, sometimes we need to be generous. Some people are born leaders. Other people are socialized to be leaders at an early age. I sure wasn't. I don't have any natural instincts for how to do it. I have to read about it. And it takes a while for me for this book learning to translate into life learning. My leadership style is education more than motivation. I explain it as best as I can, and if somebody isn't persuaded by the logic, I just don't have many more resources to call on. I can jump up and down and get excited, but I don't think that works very well in the long run. Doesn't with me, anyway. One of the earliest management books I read, I remember, was The Peter Principle, which says that people tend to rise in an organization until they reach a position in which they are incompetent. I hope I'm not there yet. Maybe someday I will be. But I have reached the point where the learning curve is taking longer than it used to. So if I have a dream of being in the top 1%, maybe it's time to let it go. Something significant happened to me only 10 days ago. It had nothing to do with Christmas, so I didn't have opportunity to tell you about it here at church. So here goes. I was struggling to get all my work done on Friday, December the 20th, to get everything ready for the holiday break. And in comes this email telling me that I need a massive reorganization of the course I was teaching. I needed to scrap everything I'd done and basically start over with a new approach. And I needed to do it all by January 7th. Well, as you can imagine, I wasn't too happy about that. So I sent them an email saying, I quit. I will finish out the spring semester, but that's it. Now, that's for the class at Azusa. It's not Grace Communion. I'd actually been thinking about quitting the job at Azusa for quite a while. I'd learned a lot by teaching the classes, but it also took a lot of time. I don't particularly like grading papers, especially the ones that are poorly written. I realized there's something else I could do with my time that I would enjoy doing a lot more. So over the past 8 months, I've been taking some church literature off the website on various topics. I've been grouping them together, about one topic each week, and they're now listed as ebooks on Barnes & Noble, some other websites. There's about 30 of those ebooks there now, and I've got about 30 to go, and I kind of enjoy doing that. And all those poorly written papers I was getting, sometimes the students don't know how to use the word processor, and that's why the papers look messy. So I wrote an instruction manual for how to use Microsoft Word for academic papers. I enjoyed doing that too. I like to write. I've known that for a long time. But it finally occurred to me that teaching this class at Azusa was something I didn't like, and it was taking me away from something that I did like. I'd like to write another class for Grace Communion Seminary, and I won't have the time to do it as long as I'm teaching at Azusa. So I was thinking about quitting anyway, and when this email came in saying that the course needed to be completely redone, well, that was the last straw. I needed to let it go. I needed to say no to one thing so I could say yes to another. It was a good chapter in my life, but I have to make room for another chapter that's yet to come. Now, I don't know, but it's maybe too early to view it objectively, but perhaps that's the most important lesson I had in 2012. Maybe it's something that you could learn from too. As life moves forward, there are times when we have to let something go. Eventually the kids move out of the house and we have to let them go. Eventually we won't be able to do the work of managing apartments and we'll have to let it go. Eventually I won't be able to work at Grace Communion Seminary and I'll retire. retire. You have to let that go. As Ecclesiastes 3:6 says, there is a time to keep and a time to throw away. Some of you are in the gathering stage of life now, and some of us are in the stage where we need to let go. We need to think about what we're doing, how we're using our time. Perhaps there's something in your life that you need to let go. So let go, open your hand, see what God will give you next.